Jordan, your coach of the Virginia Vicavolts, and I would say welcome to Week 5 of the SPS Talonflame VGC Draft League, but the match has already happened, and I want to do something a little bit differently this week. I think both players played this match really well. We had a good plan coming into it, and we both executed well. But the match itself, the live commentary, very long. I spend a bit of it complaining about spectator chatter. Don't even get me started on that. And I think I can cover a lot more ground in a post-commentary style this time around, explaining my decisions. We're not going to spend as much time on like the team builder, but we're going to kind of break down into greater detail the situation, what kinds of things you can pay attention to, and why I think I had a really safe plan this week. There wasn't a lot of times where I had to make big reads. And that's all about assessing out the situation, predicting what the opponent's going to be doing. I'll be able to just define my terms a little bit, make this probably my most substantive video I've ever made for newer VGC Draft League players. But because there's chock full of information I can talk about on this match, this should be plenty useful for in more experienced Draft League players. So let's jump into it. The overview for the newest of players. This is a 6v6 Pokemon match, doubles 2 at a time. You pick 4 once you see the 6 he's bringing. And the most important thing to know is that as soon as you see their 6 Mons, there's still a lot left to discover. The Mons can run 4 of dozens of different moves. They run different items. That really changes up how they play. And your job is to make predictions in the start of the match as to what they're doing based on what you've seen, and to gradually replace that with knowledge from how the match has been going, and getting a better idea as to what the opponent's trying to do. The overall game plan, which again, not going to do team builders, I do those every week, and so I'm including a live team builder, which I'm going to put in my description, where I really talk about building the team, deciding which of my options are the best against Rising's team here. But the overall plan, you should know going into it, is that Pheromosa is the game's most extreme glass cannon, very strong but very frail, so you have to protect the Pheromosa. I thought I really did a good job of protecting Pheromosa with 2 fake-out users, Berserker and Meowstick here. Fake-out is the best move in the game, or at least in this format with no Dynamax, because it is a priority move. You hit them and you stop them from taking a turn, and that basically ensures you get a good first turn. You get to cover your ally so that they can do something. Attack, or switch, or boost itself, or whatever. You can only use Fake Out the first turn your Mon is out, but using that pressure, that Fake Out pressure to get a really good turn is really important to this match in particular. So let's jump into the match. Game 1, turn 1, I'm leading Pheromosa with a Fake Out user. And he is leading Persian and Tornadus. The first thing you should think about when you see the leads is speed. Who's going first? Going first in this game is very important, and so I do have a little picture of the speed on turn 1. I invested into Pheromosa's speed so that it is 1 point faster than Tornadus, his fastest Mon, so I know I'm going first. Tornadus is second, Persian is third, and Meowstick is fourth. Now this is an assumption, right? Rising could invest a lot into speed or not invest into the speed, but it's good to just assume until you learn otherwise that things are the fastest they can be. If you don't just know the speeds offhand, you can hover over it in Showdown and see that this goes up to 190, and I know that I'm at 191, so I'm going first here. However, there is nothing faster than priority. He's got a Fake Out user as well as mine, and his is even faster than mine, so he gets to go very first on the first turn, stop my Pheromosa from doing anything, and then the Tornadus can easily take it out. Anytime Pheromosa gets hit by a real move, it's gone. And so you have to be very careful in this case. Luckily, I do have Protect on Pheromosa. So the plan is to protect Pheromosa. I know all the attention's going to be focused on Pheromosa, so what I do is just switch out Meowstick into my other Mon. This is my other Fake Out user, so I know that on turn 2, I'm the only one who can Fake Out. Again, you can only Fake Out in your first turn out. So Berserker is now the one who gives me the Fake Out pressure, and as expected, he throws his shot into Pheromosa, but it's protected. So then turn 2, I'm in a better spot here. I have the fake out pressure, I have the mon that's going first, and so that's when I can take my one shot at Tornadus. I have an ice move because that is the strongest move into his team, particularly a flying type. And we don't get the third hit. It happens 10% of the time. It's fine, but we do a ton of damage anyway. And I decide not to go for the fake out. I'm really thinking that Rising might be switching here. Getting to switch out his Persian means it gets to come in later and gets access to another fake out. So do your damage when you have the opportunity to do your damage. If Rising is switching here, I want to deal just a lot of damage into whatever is coming into that spot. He decides not to switch though, so I do get some good damage here from Berserker. All the way down to Focus Sash, the most important item in Draft League. Since you can prep in advance against your opponent, you know there are some things that you can't survive, and so Focus Sash ensures you live with 1 health left. But that's great to know. Now I know that I want to use 2 hits to break through the Persian, and I just did a ton of damage in 1 turn. However, what Rising did with his turn is take control of all of the speed. Tailwind gives him double speed for the next 4 turns. Icy Wind lowered my speed, so he's going first for the foreseeable. And that's not good, because if he gets to attack Pheromosa, Pheromosa's gone, and you have to take extra special care of Pheromosa. So what do I do the next turn? Just like in turn 1, swap out into my new fake out user and protect. He's going to take another shot, actually at Meowstic this time, because that would have done super effective damage. He had the Life Orb, the offense boosting item that makes him take a little bit of damage every time he attacks, so I didn't even have to hit him for him to knock himself out here, and he goes for more speed control with Icy Wind, but not a big deal here. So, he's still going first. Persian's first, Blastoise after that, considering his double speed, but I have fake out pressure, so I can stop one thing from moving, and I know that Persian is the only mon that doesn't really do any damage here. He's been Icy Winding, and I'm barely feeling it, so I want to make sure the Blastoise doesn't get to move. Blastoise is scary when it can set up, it has ways to boost its offense and speed, and is a real Pokemon, and as a result can destroy the Pheromosa, so I can't let that happen. I get the fake out. He takes this opportunity to switch, but I get some good damage here. Actually, so I have 2 very strong hits, but I have 1 kind of utility move here. Electro Web is a spread move that cuts their speed, so I'm starting to fight back on the speed war. I'm still not going first, but I have more tools on my side of the field to make sure that I can start going first again. What Meowstic has at the start of turn 4 is priority. It hasn't been relevant so far, but Meowstic has probably the best ability in the entire game. It's Prankster. So when Meowstic isn't attacking, its non-attacking moves have priority. There's nothing faster than priority. So Meowstic can priority Thunder Wave. I know I'm going first, and when you're paralyzed, you are at halved speed. So it's like the Tailwind is canceled out. Double speed, half speed, and now since this guy has a speed drop, I'm once again the fastest thing on the field. Well, not Blastoise, because it's not paralyzed yet, but I'm going to paralyze it next turn and make sure the Pheromosa can go first again. Rising is starting to predict when I'm going to protect the Pheromosa. He's starting to target the partner more, which is a good strategy, and he does have a surprise dark move, which is able to take out Meowstic. So Meowstic, you did your job. Not bad. And he takes again his shot at Pheromosa, but once again, not able to do much. By the way, I'm saying things like, you should know who has Fake Out, you should know who's the fastest, you should know who has Prankster, some of the more important moves, but you won't know that when you're newer to this game. Luckily, there is a very good resource, Pokemon Showdown / Teambuilder. You can just search Fake Out. Here are all the mons that learn Fake Out. And you're not going to memorize this list right away, but you can have this by your side during the match. You can do some quick research. This is a no timer league, so you get, within reason, as much time as you want to take until someone will eventually start the timer. But I can know who are the pranksters. Rising doesn't have any pranksters, but I have Meowstick. And so I know that I get to go first in a lot of situations, which has been very crucial to this match, and it's going to be crucial in the subsequent games. We're playing a best of 3 here. So every turn I've either been protecting Pheromosa or had fake out pressure, or know that I'm going first with Pheromosa. And this is no different. I have fake out pressure with Berserker, but I once again decide not to go for it. He assumes I'm going to fake out, so he's like, I just need to survive the fake out turn. He protects. But if there was going to be a switch, I wanted to do more damage here. I have a surprise grass move, which unfortunately gets revealed here without doing anything because he just protects. But a grass move, very strong, and this was how I was going to beat the Blastoise matchup, was with a grass move. But I'm going first again, and Tailwind is over, so he doesn't have double speed. I can finally take my shot, and this is enough. Luckily, we hit the triple axles, and Haxorus is gone. Goodbye, Haxorus. He has wonderful coverage here, so he really picked the right moves. He has a move that's super effective against Berserker, but I do have an Assault Vest. I have an item that allows me to boost my survivability. So I survived no problem, and Blastoise survives. He doesn't have an Assault Vest, but he's just very chunky, so he survives. But we're getting good damage here, and we're staying first. We're applying the pressure when we need to. This is when he could have faked out, and I was okay with it because he didn't have a lot of, these are his last 2. They're both down to low health, and I know that he can't KO both of my Mons. Fake out, or Persian does very little. It's a very passive Mon, so Blastoise could only kill one of them. So at this point, I was okay if he faked me out, but instead he just wanted to seize speed control again. However, Pheromosa is still the fastest thing on the field, and my spread move Electro Web is able to close this out with a double KO. So this whole game was defined by who had fake out pressure and how could I keep Pheromosa alive. I don't even think I had to switch it out. Normally, when you feel the pressure onto Pheromosa, then there's no choice but to save its life by switching out into something else. But because I had the fake out pressure, this was a really safe game. There wasn't really a lot that could have gone wrong. I mean, I missed the triple axle, but it was fine. From Rising's perspective, he's got to think, what can I do to actually break this Pheromosa? And he decides that he's going to stick with the same lead, and I do as well. I typically like to change up my lead for Game 2, just because it's fun to win in different ways. But the problem with switching it up Game 2 is if you lose Game 2, you've shown your 5th and 6th Mon that you didn't bring to Game 1, and now your opponent can basically bring the optimal 4 that counters your whole team for Game 3. So you want to leave a little surprise left in the tank for Game 3. So if you don't need to switch it up, don't. And we both don't change our lead. I actually had a dragon in the back, my dragon, but I didn't really need it, and because he's focusing on Haxorus is a really important part of his damage, that Hydreigon was just not in a position. It didn't have a dragon move, and he could easily KO me with his dragon move, so Hydreigon was not the move here. I put Stakataka in the back as my 4th, but the other 3, 2 fake outs in Pheromosa, stayed the same. So there's a reasoning I learned after the fact about this lead here. So he has the fastest fake out pressure, which is very, very good. So he controls turn 1. But he also has Superpower, which we saw in Game 1, so that's a very strong fighting move. Stakataka is my centerpiece Mon, and I'm learning that winning relies upon using the expectation that they're going to be focusing on beating your centerpiece, your scariest Mon, but if I just don't focus on it as much, if I don't rely on my Stakataka, and I barely used it this set, then I can do a lot better. So he had this setup where he could stop any Mon next to Stakataka from moving with Fake Out, and then his Life Orb boosted Superpower was enough to one-hit KO, I'm going to say Oko from now on, the Stakataka. So he had this setup because he was too worried about my setup with Stakataka. Once Stakataka gets going, it's pretty hard to stop. So he kept going, and he's like, if I face the same lead, I'm just going to have to execute a little bit differently. So this feels like we're going to do the same thing as turn 1, but I realized that he doesn't really have anything that hits Meowsticks too hard. If he decides to fake out Pheromosa instead, then Meowstick can get a good priority move off. I wasn't really afraid of anything that he could do into my Meowstick, so instead of switching to my other fake out mine, I decided to just stay in. He fakes me out, he's smart, he's realizing that I'm probably just going to protect Pheromosa. But he takes his shot. You got to take every shot you can get at Pheromosa because it's so dangerous. It does so much, but hitting it is almost certainly a death sentence for Pheromosa. So I don't blame him for taking a shot at Pheromosa again. But turn 2, I have the fastest Mon, and I have priority with Meowstick. So he decides to play defensively here, swap into Clefairy. He knew that I had that triple axle from game 1, so he adjusted well, didn't let his Tornadus, risk Tornadus' life. He goes into a Mon that can really take the hit very well. See, it doesn't even quite do half. And so what's he do here? Icy Wind. So he's reestablishing control over speed. So now Persian is going first rather than my Pheromosa. Unfortunately, keeping his Mons alive here depended on him switching into Clefairy, and Clefairy and Persian are just very passive. Clefairy does one main thing, and I can assume it's doing that one main thing, which is protecting its partner. It redirects attacks into itself. It has the Friend Guard ability, so the allies take less damage. But it doesn't really do anything on its own. And so you normally can just focus on the partner. If they get redirected, oh well. But this is not really a good positioning for Rising. And so Rising's going to have to figure out when he can change to something that exerts more offensive pressure, that can actually take out the Pheromosa in one hit. So I can't just keep swinging. Pheromosa with time can take out anything. So what he decides to do, just protect Clefairy. And that was smart because I really wanted to disrupt his Clefairy. I wanted to paralyze it with T-Wave, but he protects it. And he does the very best thing he can do with a relatively passive duo. He taunts me, and Taunt is a move that stops you from using non-attacking moves for 3 turns. And that's a real shame, because Meowstick's main shtick is using its non-attacking moves, which have priority due to Prankster. And so now, luckily, I have just one move that I put on it that is an attacking move, Psychic, so I'll be using that in the turns to come. So I'm trying to steal speed control back. So once again, I am 1 point faster, or actually I'm 7 or so points faster than Persian. I know I'm going first again. And so he decides to go with Helping Hand and to take his big shot at Pheromosa with the Persian, hoping that with Helping Hand boosts his Persian's offense. But I think this was a miscalculation here. I have speed again. Maybe he didn't realize it, or maybe I thought I was just going to Electroweb again. But I'm going first here, and I take my shot, and my shot means a lot when it's coming from Pheromosa, so that's a one-hit KO. And Meowstick does a little bit. It's not completely useless as an attacker. So I get that KO, and then Close Combat is like a one strong hit that reduces my defense. Doesn't even matter for Pheromosa. I'm going down in one hit regardless. So here's the situation. Moving into this turn, he can redirect attacks. So I want to get rid of his, scary big bird looking MFer. But if my attack is redirected into Clefairy, then Tornadus just gets to attack and destroy the Pheromosa. So I'm going to protect, and I'm going to try to disrupt him, or maybe just get one free turn where I get to deal some damage with Psychic. Because I need to slow the game down a bit. Meowstick can't do anything useful while it's taunted. And so if I can outlast these 3 taunt turns, then I'll be in a better position. So he realizes, he's starting to recognize when I'm going to protect the Pheromosa. So he's targeting the partner, and that's smart. And I'm targeting him right back. It wasn't a very impactful turn for either side. And now finally, I've run out of tricks to keep Pheromosa healthy for the time being. He can still redirect his attack into Clefairy, and then KO the Pheromosa with Big Bird here. So I do switch out the Pheromosa into something that can take the attack better. though he decides to just seize all the speed. I don't know if it was super necessary here, but he does go first again, so if Pheromosa was still out, he would now be the fastest on the field. But I Psychic. Unfortunately, Clefairy does survive with 4 health. It's okay. And so I have my 2 cats, and finally, Meowstic has outlived the taunting, you'll see, shakes off the taunt. So I can use my disruptive priority, non-attacking moves with Meowstic. I can Fake Out again, because Berserker has just jumped into battle. And Fake Out is just a priority move that can prevent Clefairy from living. There we go, goodbye Clefairy. And T-Wave will make sure that I'm once again going first with Pheromosa once it returns. So Tailwind and Paralysis cancel each other out, and so Pheromosa is once again the fastest. But it gets a good hit here. Superpower, that was really, really big damage. I'm lucky that I was just able to survive that with 8% health left. So now he's in his best position to deal offense, to exert offensive pressure with his 2 strongest attackers on the field now, and I don't have a ton of offensive pressure with these 2 cats. So what am I going to do? I'm going to T-Wave. I need to make sure that everything is slower than Pheromosa so that I can one-hit KO either of these guys with my ice move from Pheromosa. So as long as they're paralyzed, I'm okay. In exchange for my paralysis, he's got all the damage right now, and so he does it. He KOs both my guys. I was thinking about switching into Pheromosa here, but switching into Pheromosa is generally a dangerous move, because if they attack it, Pheromosa's gone. So he was maybe reading a Pheromosa switch here. Air Slash would have easily taken it out. And they go down. I'm down to my last 2. This is the most important move in the game. And I think I'm basically home free here. How do we get out of here? Okay, so I'm the fastest thing on the field. You're starting to probably pick up on this. If Pheromosa is going first, something's going to die. I can KO either of these guys, and I think I go for Haxorus, because I think it's overall more dangerous. I'm actually not sure which one I go for, but Stack Attacker does have Rock Slide, so it can deal super effective damage and take out Tornadus. So I take my 1 shot, and we get the 10% miss from Triple Axle. Haxorus not even 1 hit of Triple Axle makes it. Rising prayed to the RNG gods, and the randomness gods answered this time around. But you gotta, moments like these testament your mentality, and you gotta just go forward. You say, I made the right decision 90% of the time, and if I'm faced with that decision again, I'm gonna have to make the same one, because it's gonna work out. So I lose the Pheromosa because it gets hit, and he's got a move that's designed to beat the Stack Attacker. I have a very unusual item here, a Focus Sash on a Mon that's incredibly bulky, because I know that everyone is prepping to beat the Stack Attacker, and sometimes you gotta keep him honest by saying, I know you can beat the Stack Attacker in 1 hit, but I'm gonna at least survive with 1 health when I have a Focus Sash. And so I do get 1 more KO here. Rock Slide takes out Tornadus, and it just comes down to 25% of the time, if you're paralyzed, you get fully paralyzed and you can't take your move. And so 25% of the time here, I would win the game. But he hasn't gotten paralyzed once, and he's not about to start getting paralyzed now. So goodbye, Stack. We move on to game 3. Unfortunate bit of randomness there, but I still think we have a really good plan. I still think Pheromosa is super strong with the Fake Out pressure. What I do decide to do is change up my lead, because I still have left some surprises in the tank for game 3, and you'll notice that Rising also changes up his lead. Okay, new leads. He brings Persian, but with the Haxorus. I know that Haxorus has the fighting move, the thing that can beat the Trick Room setup. So he has a slightly different lead, but he's still hyper-focused on what kind of lead can I bring that can take out Stack Attacker before it gets going. I don't even need to say what Stack Attacker's main thing is, if you don't already know, because it's not a factor in this match. I keep the focus off of Stack Attacker. In this spot, I'm actually in decent shape here. I brought Togetic because it's my redirector, like his Clefairy. I can redirect attacks into myself. And I knew that Haxorus would not be able to throw dragon moves out into Hydreigon, despite this being a really unfortunate matchup here. I don't actually have a dragon move on my Hydreigon, so this is bad for me. But if Togetic is the one eating the hits, it is very, very durable. And he does not want to have his dragon move redirected, because fairies are immune to dragon moves. So I go for, I think, the Follow Me here. Nope. Now that I'm reminded, he once again has the fastest fake out on the field. He has pressure turn 1, and so I know the pressure's coming. I'm not going to get to move. I'm just going to have to eat some damage, so I'd rather switch out into something that gives me fake out pressure turn 2. He goes to the Poison Jab. He's assuming he's going to be redirected, so he doesn't want to risk going for the Dragon move. Because I am so tanky, it doesn't even deal half damage to me, only 45%. So I know that I can take one more Poison Jab. So Togetic was in fairly safe shape here. It was not going down in one hit to anything, so I do get good damage here. You know, Fairy super effective against dragons, and then Persian is just very frail, so it takes a fair amount of damage too. So let's look at turn 2 here. And spoilers, he switches out. He wants to reset his fake out pressure in a future turn. He wants to protect his Haxorus. All good moves here. I want to keep Berserker healthy. Berserker's the one dealing damage, Togetic is the one doing support. That's what Rising can see, and it's important to know what your lead looks like. I decided to follow through on the threat to redirect attacks here. But all he was doing, as it turns out, was repositioning. It was a very smart move. I didn't actually accomplish anything with that turn because he protected the dragon while he swaps in Clefairy. So I know that he can redirect attacks into his redirector, and then Haxorus is free to take his shot. I'm sure his fighting move is probably a one-hit KO into Berserker, but he does have to KO the Togetic first. That's why I've nicknamed my Togetic Toll-getic. You have to pay the toll if you want to attack my partner. You have to get through me first. So he decides to Helping Hand. Very smart move here. Helping Hand boosts his next attack, and he knew that he didn't do quite enough with one more Poison Jab, but a Helping Hand boosted Poison Jab gets the job done. So what do I go for here? I just get some good damage. Berserker's ability and its main good thing about it is Steely Spirit. So steel moves, both by Berserker and by my partner sitting next to it, get 50% more damage. And so I have Sakataka with steel moves, and I also have a dragon with steel moves. So that was kind of the goal. If Pheromosa could not destroy everything, then I was going to have steel moves raining down upon him. But Iron Head's just generally the right move for me to be going because of Steely Spirit. And it almost gets through, if not for Clefairy's Friend Guard giving it more bulk than we would have, but that's okay. I still think we're in pretty good shape here because I'm going first with Pheromosa, which means something's going to die. And I know that he has the threat to redirect attacks once again. I get to go first, but I can't actually break through this Clefairy very easily. I don't actually have the right moves for it because I just needed everything else. I needed my close combat, I needed my ice move, and I needed the spread move for speed control. So what I do is go for the spread move, make sure that I can get that last 4% even if he were to redirect the attack, and I go for that steel move that would deal a ton of damage onto the Clefairy, but he does protect it. So he's keeping the Clefairy around so that he can protect his damage dealers, and so he's still in a pretty decent spot here, despite the Haxorus going down. This, I think, is the key turn. I know the threat of redirection is still there. Pheromosa can't hit Clefairy too hard, and it gets KO'd by the Tornadus. I don't really think Clefairy wants to volunteer to get itself killed by Ironhead, so I'm thinking maybe it Helping Hands, maybe it protects, and I decide to take my one shot here. I'm still going first, and Triple Axle would be my strongest move, even if it's redirected into Clefairy, so I take the shot, and he goes risky here. He risks the Helping Hand. I think, what does he go for? Helping Hand, and I'm still going first. Maybe he's thinking he might go for Electro Web because he assumes that I'm going to go for my spread move again. Maybe he thinks I might miss the Triple Axle, which I already have missed into it. I think it's a defensible play, what he goes for here, because there's a lot of situations where I don't KO the Tornadus, but I'm ready. Goodbye, Tornadus. Dies in only 2 hits, so I don't need the third one this time because I have my attack boost, which I get every time I take a KO. That's the beast boost effect for you. And then the Iron Head is huge damage. This is when the game is decided. When he wants to take a shot at Pheromosa, and you are too slow. Not taunting here. I think, as I've said, Rising played very well here, and he just had to make a read here. And that one didn't work out. So now I deal a ton of damage here. I don't really care if he fakes out here, because one of his two guys is going to die to my close combats. So he takes the helping hand and fakes out. Have you ever seen a fake out, a little dinky attack that's just designed to make them flinch, do 60%? I have never, in all of my competitive VGC experience, seen that, but it doesn't quite do enough into Pheromosa. So I do get my one shot with Sylvester the Berserker. You are gone, and it's over. It's all about protecting the Pheromosa, all about knowing who's going first when. If I'm not going first and I don't have fake out pressure, Pheromosa's got to get out of there. Pheromosa is the president, and Berserker and Meowstick are my secret service. That's one way to think about matches. There's some matches where fake out will not be present, where redirection will not be quite as important as it was. It'll just be about who can deal the damage onto who's going to protect at the right time. But this was a match that was very analyzable through the lens of protecting your key attackers. So I hope it was useful. I hope that all of this ranting and raving about the match is useful for both newer players and older players. It's the kind of resource I would have liked 6 months ago, as I was a much newer Draft League player. One last thing before I go. As you may know, this season has not been very pretty for me. I've been struggling adjusting to the new format and my team, but I wanted to share this not because everything I say is the gospel truth, but because I feel like I'm starting to learn this format a little bit better, and I'm learning from Angel. Angel, when she's not in a good position, she basically refuses to play the game. She just switches and protects and slows the game down until she's in a better position to have a lot more effective turns, and that's what I think I applied in this game. When Pheromosa is not protected, get it out of there. When Pheromosa is protected, maximize, do as much damage as you possibly can. So hopefully what I'm learning from others will start to apply to some of the next games. I'm going to do a team build and live commentary for the next week, and that would be my final advice, is take advice from whoever you can find who's playing well, who's got things to impart. See you next week.